Well, I'm planning to do something today that I've never done before in my life, as far as I know. Nothing too extravagant. I'm not climbing Mount Everest or running a marathon or jumping from a plane with a parachute or without a parachute. Something a lot simpler, something a lot easier, something I'm amazed I haven't done yet. It's becoming a more common thing to do, but I still haven't never done it as far as I know. And that's going for a full day without food. Isn't that an amazing accomplishment? And yet, I suspect probably not many people in North America have gone a full day without food. I know it's becoming a bigger trend now. People doing fasting, whether it's half a day or full day or a few days. So there are a lot of people that have done it, but I would wager that the vast majority of North Americans haven't done it ever in their life. And as far back as I can remember, I don't think I have. I've had days where I've had not too much food, but typically, I've been on the 3 meal a day bandwagon plus snacks in between, like so many people. And I think there's a lot of evidence that suggests we probably shouldn't eat like that, at least not all the time. Anyhow, for me, I haven't eaten now. This is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I haven't eaten since 6 o'clock or so last night. So my intent today was not to eat until noon. That was my goal. And I just thought, while I'm at it, a hairy woodpecker up above me. While I'm at it, maybe I should try for the full day without food. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm making this video in part to try and encourage myself, because I don't want to come on here tomorrow or the next day and tell everyone that I failed. So that's the plan. Going the whole day without food. And in reality, if I don't eat until tomorrow morning until 7, I'll have gone a day and a half without food, I guess. When you think about it, if we were living a more natural lifestyle out in the wild, or even as our ancestors did as early farmers or early inhabitants of the land, we wouldn't be eating food 3 times a day, probably constantly, with snacks in between. There'd be times when we'd be going hungry, probably days or weeks at a time. Certainly our distant ancestors would have experienced that. When you're out alone or in small packs out on the landscape, like typical wild animals today, food isn't always abundant, especially in the off seasons. So in that vein, it makes sense for us to introduce probably periods where we don't eat. The theory there, or the evidence, suggests that by doing so, we give our digestive system a chance to relax and take a break, because that's a lot of energy being expended to digest food every day. When you let it take a rest, the body replenishes itself and repairs damages, gets rid of toxins in the body, repairs damaged cells, creates new cells, and therefore reinvigorates the body as a whole. That's what the evidence points towards, and why so many people now are taking part in fasting. I'm hoping that I can make fasting part of my normal daily cycle. I'd probably like to go to maybe eating once or twice a day. Not sure how realistic it will be for me. I'm a pretty active person. I do a lot of hiking and cycling in the summer. So a lot of previous information point to people such as that as needing high carb intake and all this, and I'm not sure that's fully true, but anyhow, I'd like to give it a try. I'd like to get down my eating down and certainly get the snacking out of my daily routine, because that's where I really hurt myself, is with too much snacking. So today, so far, I've just been drinking water. I drank a couple glasses when I got up, and I drink a glass or two every few hours. Obviously, it means a lot of bathroom breaks, but that's fine because that's cleaning out the system, I guess. As far as how I feel, I feel pretty much normal. I do get a little bit lightheaded feeling at times, or a bit dizzy feeling. Nothing major. And then my stomach was growling prior to the normal lunch hour. I had a lot of groaning going on down there, so that was interesting. And actually, I kind of like that feeling every so often, where you're actually hungry, because it seems to be fairly rare otherwise an experience, at least for me, these last few years, or last decades of my life, basically. There's not too many times when you really feel like you're hungry, unless you're out on a camping trip or something and you haven't had food for a while. But so it's good to do that, I think. So I think my ultimate goal then is to refine my diet, so I'm eating a lot less grains and starches and things like that, and probably still eat some meat like chicken and fish and eggs, but I'll increase my vegetables more than I have had. I've always eaten them fairly well, but have more of them, and salad ingredients and things like that. And then introduce this fasting mechanism into the daily routine. So either going to 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day. And then try and keep out as much junk food as I can. And I'm hoping that'll result in a good degree of weight loss. I can afford to lose 20 or 30 pounds easily. And also make me feel better generally. I feel generally pretty good, but there's times when I get aches and whatnot, or that type of thing. So hopefully this will help.